when my life changed and I said, I'm going to change what I do, I'm really going to simplify things. I started buying houses subject to selling them with seller financing, and things got really simple. This book covers a lot of things. It lays out the 12 house blueprint, which is buying subject to selling with seller financing, creating money on the front end, cash flow every month, how to create a $600,000 plus a year income within 36 months.
Welcome back to The Broke Billionaires, where we document our daily struggles in building wealth while raising a young family. Join us as we talk creative wealth building for everyday people and couples that are struggling in a down economy. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Joshua Masari, and we'll be your hosts.
Today's guests are William and Jodi Tingle. William is an investor, coach, speaker, and author of the 12 House Blueprint, which was just released and can be purchased now. William has bought hundreds of houses all across the U.S., most of them subject to. He has trained and coached thousands of students all across the country, including us, to become financially successful real estate investors. William's wife, Jodi, is a seasoned real estate investor with over 20 years of experience specializing in short sales and wholesaling. As a former licensed real estate broker, she has a deep understanding of market dynamics and creative deal structuring. Whether she's structuring deals, optimizing workflows, or designing high-impact visuals, Jodi delivers a unique blend of strategy and creativity to the industry. Welcome, William and Jodi Tingle. We're so happy to have you here with us today. How are you both doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're great, and we're just really happy to be here today.
We're so happy to have you. We would love to just start off kind of getting a little backstory about each of you and how you got your start in real estate.
Well, Jodi and I, our story's probably a little bit different than most of your guests would be, because we met a little bit later in life. So we've been married for 5 years now. So we were both already investing when we married. So if Jodi wants to go first, she'll tell her story and then I'll tell.
Well, how I got started is I went to a seminar with my dad that it was my idea, but he went with me, and it was about buying houses, and I was just like totally hooked. However, I was a big chicken and, young and whatever, and I didn't do anything with that except think about it all the time. I thought about it and read about it, but I didn't do anything for a long time until I found a teacher that was doing really well. And I don't know, there was something, he seemed kind of ordinary, and I thought maybe I could follow him and learn some stuff. And I went to his boot camp, and then actually I bought a Carlton Sheets course. I think everybody who knows who that is about that. In between there, read that, but didn't do anything with that either. I just couldn't do anything by myself. I had a kind of a family and friends, environment where I didn't have a lot of support for that, and they were kind of naysayers. So I didn't really do anything for quite a while. When I got that teacher, went to the boot camp, then I bought my first deal pretty soon after that. And it was a short sale of all things, which I abandoned fairly quickly. And I started doing some wholesaling of REOs is what was my specialty at that time.
Okay.
So
Love it.
Okay. Well, my story is I was a regional manager for a restaurant chain, and I'd been in the restaurant business for about 20 years, and I made pretty good money, but I just didn't have much of a home life. I had a couple small kids, and I never saw them, didn't get to go to any of the functions at school or sports or anything like that. So I was really just miserable. But, I felt like I was stuck in that job because I made decent money, but I'd quit school in ninth grade. So it's not like I had a big education or anything. I didn't have a lot of stuff to fall back on. All I had was I'd worked really hard in the restaurant business for a long time. And one night I was just super frustrated. I'd had a manager quit, and I was out of town because I had to take his place for a while until I found a new manager. And a Carlton Sheets infomercial came on
Mhm.
TV. And I was just at the point where I said, there's got to be something better than this. So I ordered the Carlton Sheets course, and it showed up a couple of weeks later, and I opened the box, and I just, and after teaching so many people for, gosh, I've been doing this for 25 years now. I'll tell you that's where most people fail. They get a course or some kind of training. They open it. They may consume it all. Most people stop with it when it really gets tough. They stop. And but I opened that thing and I read it all, and I said, I'm going to try to do what this guy says to do. So I started calling sellers, and within 30 days I had my first house, and then the next month I had another house, and I said, gee, this may work.
I did read the whole Carlton Sheets course, by the way. I just didn't do it.
I mean, that's the thing is a lot of people just don't take action. We always hear about people getting the courses, taking that first step. They get it. They start to read it. They read the first chapter and then they put it down and then they never take action. So they never actually get to the point where they're doing deals.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys meet?
Jodi actually joined my coaching group. I had a small group coaching program, and one day she popped up on the Zoom, and I said, "Hey there," and
And I was the favorite.
There you go.
and she was my
Love
favorite.
it.
And then a few months later, we were married. So.
Yeah,
Oh.
we were married within 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
So she went from student to wife real quickly. Love it. Love
Real
it.
Yep.
quick. I think she hooked me. She was on a mission. She was going to get her a coach
That's right.
and not have to pay for it.
That's
So
right.
That's right.
And in that coaching group, my first deal before we started to like talk about dating or anything, I did my first deal and I made $24,000 on my first sub-2 deal, and that's what I accuse him of. He wanted me for my $24,000.
Right.
Trying to get
You're
it,
after my money,
getting some money
She
back.
closed that deal. I said, "Oh man, I got me a sugar mama now."
right?
Right.
Love it.
I love that.
Yeah. So one of the things I think that you've mentioned before that you've actually bought houses and people have had the Carlton Sheets like education courses in their house. Is that?
Oh, at least half a dozen. The first house we bought, we're in Northwest Arkansas now. The very first house that we bought, when we walked through it, there was a box. There was a Carlton Sheets course sitting right there in the living room. It's amazing.
So if they just would have opened it, they would have known what they were doing.
Yeah,
So
if they just
The
opened it.
answer was right there. Yep.
yeah.
No doubt. I mean, I bought my first, 2 or 3 houses with nothing but a Carlton Sheets course. And if you've ever read it, and you can buy them on eBay for $5, right? I mean, there's a million of them out there now. It is 10 miles wide and 1 inch deep. He talks about every technique under the sun, but he doesn't give you much information. You got to fill in the blanks. But I mean, it's a great course to get started with. Very ethical and just a really broad education.
Yeah. And I would say, like, William, the way I found you was I knew what sub-2 was for probably 15 years and never did a deal, never really looked into it until about 4 or 5 years ago. I started wanting to know more about it. How does this work? How do you do this? How do you not get caught? Because that's the one big thing that people are always worried about with subject 2 is how do I not tip off the banks or do something, mess something up and get the loan called? That's a big fear. It's a big fear compared to other types of investing. And so I wanted to learn more about the process. And I was searching on Apple Podcasts and just put in subject 2, and lo and behold, your podcast popped up. And I think you had quite a few episodes at that point. So I started listening to those, and you kind of went through the whole process. Here, here's the marketing, how you kind of find the deals, how you put them together. The insurance was a big one. You walked through how to do the insurance, how to put the property into a land holding trust, and all these steps that you talked about in the podcast. And nobody else was giving that information out there. There was all these big gurus that, are big today on sub-2. They market themselves, but they don't give away this information. They give you the hook and then they don't tell you how to do it. And I feel like you're very liberal with all this information, just sharing this with everybody for free on your YouTube channel and your podcast. And it really kind of gave us the confidence to be able to do these type of deals. And I just want to thank you for that. But you definitely are probably one of the most giving people out there in terms of the education that you're putting out.
Absolutely.
And we did buy your course. We bought your course and we got all the forms and everything and really kind of dove into it. But it's definitely been helpful for us because we've done a few subject to deals. We don't do a lot because in California, it's hard to find those deals here. It's very difficult to do. But we've done a few out of state ones. And, we want to start doing this and getting a little more into it, but it's definitely been helpful.
Yeah.
Just a quick disclaimer. The information shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions. Your individual circumstances may differ and require specific strategies not discussed here. Now, let's get back to the show.
We talked about that before. All the information that William teaches is really already all out there, either in his podcasts, YouTube's, reels, all these things. I can't think of a thing that's in the course or the trainings that we have that isn't already out there for free. So,
Right.
Yeah.
There's, and that's a really frustrating thing. Like I said, and I mentioned this, I've been doing this for 25 years, and things were a lot different when I got started. Information wasn't as readily available. You had to buy the course to learn how to do it. And when I see teachers like that now, and there are still some out there, and and they're big marketers, but they'll run a challenge, and it may be a 5-day challenge. And the first couple of days, they give you information, and then they say, okay, you can't come back tomorrow unless you buy this and stuff like that. Man, that's nuts.
Yeah.
We get plenty of students that join our coaching, even though we put everything we do out there. And my philosophy on that is that people join coaching for permission to take action.
Mm-hmm.
They may have all the material there, how to do it from A to Z, but they need somebody, just like Jodi did with her first deal, that comes on and goes, hey, I've got this deal. I talked to these sellers. I'm not sure if it's a deal or not. And somebody like me is able to say, that is a good deal. Go get that contract right now.
It's like a little stamp of approval.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
that makes sense.
confidence.
Yeah.
I also think they like they join for the organization of it. All that stuff's out there for free, but it's everywhere, and it's all different places in different order. I mean, it's hard to piece it all together and know the order. I think some people want to be walked step by step through it. And I think that's, why people pay for the coaching.
Yeah. And when something unusual comes up that they've never seen before, they can bounce that off of you too. Okay, gosh, what do I do about this? I've never seen this. The husband just died and the house hasn't been through probate and the wife wants to sell it. How can I do this? Can I do this? What should I do?
I need articles of incorporation.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions. I'm like, what? They want articles of incorporation. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So if you've never done it or dealt with that, you're like, it's overwhelming, even though it's really a pretty simple, packet you put together for that. But, for example, we, the first subject to deal that we did was a duplex in Texas. And, I'd never done a land, set up a title holding trust before. And I actually reached out to Bill Walston, who's been on your show several times. I know you guys are good friends, and I love those episodes because he does a lot of creative tax stuff, and I like that stuff, entities and tax. And a lot of people find it dry. I find it fascinating, so I always like those episodes. But I actually reached out to him, and he helped draft a landholding trust on my first one to get that put together. And it was really a pretty simple document. But I always thought you got to go to attorney, you have this whole thing drafted, and it's this big back and forth thing, and then you got to go record it. And it's not as scary as it sounds. So for me, just paying somebody,
you always go to a professional for the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
And after that, you've got a template, then you can reproduce it, but you get that first one right.
Yeah. Yeah. You get the template and the confidence, like you were saying. So that's
right.
So true.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like for our listeners that aren't super familiar with Subject to, William, can you just give a brief overview of what exactly it is?
Sure. Glad to. Okay. So Subject to really, everybody thinks it's big and scary and complicated because it's out of the norm, but it's really not. Subject to is taking ownership of a property. You get the deed, you get title, the seller deeds you the property, but they stay on the mortgage. A lot of people get confused between, when you go to a closing, when you buy a house, there's going to be a stack of paper about an inch thick that you're going to have to sign. But really, the two key documents in that package are a deed and a mortgage or a deed of trust, depending on what state you're in, or security deed if you're in Georgia. And the deed conveys ownership. The mortgage guarantees the bank, the mortgage or the deed of trust or the security deed guarantees the bank that you will pay them or they're going to come get your asset. In a subject to, if I buy a house from Bob got a loan from Bank of America. He gave Bank of America a mortgage or a deed of trust to secure his loan to that property. But he also got a deed from the person that sold him the house, giving him title. When I buy Bob's house, he'll sign a deed from him to me, giving me ownership, but that mortgage that he gave Bank of America securing his loan to that property is going to stay in place until I either pay it off in full or refinance it or do whatever I'm going to do down the road. So subject to accomplishes a lot of things. One, it's going to let me buy property regardless of my credit, a lot of times without even any money down. We're getting a contract today on a house that a lady's giving us a couple hours away from here. Her husband died. She's owned the house for 3 years. It's got a 2.9%, a 2.8 or 2.9% interest rate loan on it. And she's moving to Texas to live with her son now. And she's just walking away from the house. So her husband died. She's in her 60s. She doesn't care about that mortgage anymore. She's just walking away from it. So
the last one we
that's
did
really
before that was just the same. She didn't want anything either.
Right. That was a foreclosure we bought a couple of weeks ago. Now, man, we can, tell you some stories you wouldn't believe, but this lady handed us the keys to a house that she owed $91,000 on. She was $9,000 behind in back payments and attorney's fees. So basically $100,000. And the house with about $15,000 in paint and flooring is worth $240 to $270. She handed us the keys.
Oh, wow.
She had already moved out. She had another house. She had a lot of bad memories associated. She had had that house for 7 years. But she just walked away. Well, now, that cost us about $1 to find her. It was an envelope and a stamp and some other stuff.
Yeah. For them, it's it's a burden. She just wanted to get rid of it. So even though it sounds like she walked away from it, she didn't have the money to put into it maybe to get it fixed up. Just was behind on payments. She just wanted to walk away and get move on with her life. So for her, it helped her out.
And she, yeah. And most sellers are that way. And you guys know this. Y'all have bought sub-twos. Motivation's different. It doesn't always have to be financial. A house that we bought here last year, the lady had an 800 credit score. The house was in very good condition. We had to do some cosmetic rehab to it. But she had to move closer to Little Rock to be close to the university hospital. She needed a liver transplant. Now, that's a different kind of motivation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. But nonetheless, she was very motivated to give us a house that we fixed up and sold on the MLS. And what do we make on that when we were done? 70-ish, 65,
Close to
70,000. And we took over sub-2 and carried it for about 5 months during the rehab process. And we could have kept that and made money as a rental, but that 60 or 70,000 was just too tempting.
Marty didn't have a financial motivation either. He just wanted to buy a camper and go.
Oh,
yeah. For Marty, another house that we bought here last year, it was just convenience. He was retiring. He had bought a motorhome, and the day he picked up his last check, he wanted to get in his motorhome and get down the road. And so he didn't want to deal with putting the house on the market. So he agreed to let us write him a check for his equity and take over his payments.
Love that. That was going to be kind of my next question is, how many of these properties are you holding for rentals versus turning around and selling?
I haven't held a rental in 14 years.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
When I got started, I did everything. I rehabbed houses, retailed them. I had Section 8 rentals. I had regular rentals. I sold houses on lease options. I sold houses with seller financing. I did everything. And in 2009, 2010, I got a divorce and moved out of the country and had to regroup on how I did things. And I really literally took a legal pad and said, you know, a lot of people say if I could just start over, I'd do things differently. And, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I liked this, I didn't like this, I liked this, I didn't like that. What did I like? And I like buying houses subject to, selling them with seller financing. It gives you everything. It gives you cash up front, it gives you cash flow, it gives you a back end payday. Now there's some tax benefits you lose, but at a certain point in your life, you're not going to care so much about that. It's
Mm-hmm.
about the lifestyle. So, but since we've moved to Arkansas a couple of years ago, a lot of houses we would have normally kept and seller financed, we have flipped because the market's been insane.
Okay.
Mhm.
And, you can get a house under contract. Like, let's say, for example, Marty's that we just talked about. Marty called us and he wanted originally how much? He wanted 180,000 for his house.
Yep.
Okay. And we had a conversation and 180 turned into 150.
Mm.
Okay. Just like that.
Yeah.
And but Marty had an $80,000 mortgage on his house with a very good interest rate. So I said, Marty, I tell you what, I said, I'll write you a check for your 70 and I'll take over the payments on your mortgage balance. And he was getting an RV. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, hey, I'm cool with that. So we agreed. We wrote up a contract at 150, but the market, again, it was just going crazy. So we listed that house on the MLS for 250, which was market value,
Mm-hmm.
and had a contract on it same day,
Oh, wow.
pretty much,
Right.
for 230. Okay. We had a lot of options with that house. We could have kept it, but we opted for the fast nickel over the slow dime.
Yeah.
And that was another $60,000-$70,000 profit that we made on that. So we have sold more houses since we've been here that we would have kept normally. But we don't do rentals. Was that a long answer to a
Yeah,
short?
we never got to that.
We don't. I don't like being a landlord. If Junior flushes a Hot Wheel, I don't want to get the phone call.
Yeah.
I just want to get a check.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're in a different world here in California. It's funny because California is different than the entire rest of the country. So things are a little
Oh,
different
yeah.
here, and it's good and bad. There's good and bad, right? Our listeners are all over. We've got listeners in 265 cities, so we're all over the U.S. So this is good to get different
Mhm.
perspectives in different parts of the country. But in California, a fixer upper is going to cost you over $1 million, and then you're going to put $200,000-$300,000 into it, and then these flippers. At the end of the day, they'll make $100,000 with all this risk, all this carrying costs, hard money loan. And we don't flip, at least here, it just does not make sense.
Yeah.
It's way too much risk, way too much cash, and way too much can go wrong. We know people with the market shift that's happened over the last year that bought, right before things slowed down, got stuck with these properties,
Mhm.
couldn't turn and burn them, and they ended up losing $150,000. So I think we need to start buying houses in Arkansas.
I know. I think Arkansas sounds
Yeah.
a great place to start looking.
That's right.
Yeah, let me just be clear on some of these. Almost all these houses that we're flipping, like Marty's house, we got it under contract for 150. We listed it for 250. We didn't touch that house.
Wow.
Oh, so it's just
Okay.
ready to go.
We didn't do
wow.
anything
to
to it. Marty still lived in that house. In fact, Marty, when the agents would come over, Marty would show that house for us.
Oh my God.
Did you guys know? You guys talk like Marty is like a longtime friend. Did you know Marty ahead of time, or did you guys just get buddy with him?
Listen, he called us off our radio ad.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
No, we've just been able to. We've just had some unique situations here. This house that the foreclosure I told you that we took over sub 2. We paid $9,000 in back payments. We're taking over a $91,000 loan. We put it on Facebook Marketplace as a sweat equity deal at 165, which would have been a banger deal for somebody else. We wanted $20,000 down. And the first people that looked at it said, can we just pay cash? And we said,
Wow.
well, okay, why not? That house is full of junk and garbage and it needs fixing up. We've only been over there, 3 times. We showed it. The homeowner showed it. The seller showed it to us. We met a contractor over there to get a price on paint and flooring. And then we went back to show it to our buyer. Isn't that it?
That's it.
Jodi?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So, but we're not, a couple of these, a couple of these we've rehabbed, but most of them we're not touching them.
William, so I have a question. When you sell these properties, I know you're like flipping a lot more stuff now, but you used to do majority was seller finance. And were you actually like wrapping these, or were you doing lease options, or what strategy were you using to sell these?
And I'll tell you this, Joshua, we don't do deals in Texas because of the laws that require a true wrap.
Yeah.
When we sell with seller financing, we sell on a contract for deed. In other words, we keep legal title.
Yeah.
Our buyer gets equitable title. They get all the rights of ownership and everything else. We do all the disclosures. We have a closing at a title company or with an attorney, but we do not give them legal title until they pay us off or refinance.
Okay. That makes sense. And then, so have you done lease options as well, or have you only just done contract for deeds?
I used to do lease options years ago, but let me tell you the ugly truth about selling, and I hate to even use that term, but that's what everybody says, selling on a lease option. Your people, first of all, a lot of people that teach this will tell you, oh man, people will give you $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 as option consideration. That's a lie.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
a high.
If I've got a $300,000 house and I'm selling it on a lease option, if I can get $10,000 out of somebody, I'm lucky. Okay, people are smarter than that. They know that they're just renting that house with an option to buy. The lie number two is that they take full responsibility for the house. They fix it up. They treat it like their own. Is a very rare circumstance when a tenant buyer will actually treat that house like their own. What's going to happen 80% of the time is you're going to get that house back with something called deferred maintenance. Okay, you guys familiar with that term?
Yeah.
Because they're not going to fix stuff. And if they decide to take you to court, the judge is going to probably say, you own that house, you fix it.
Right.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But a lot of people teach that garbage. And, if you're able to get people to fix your house, man, you're a better negotiator than I am. You can put that stuff in your contract and they'll sign it because they want to move in the house. But the reality is often much different than the story.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's my experience with lease options. That's why I don't do that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because they're not actually owning it. So with a contract for deed, they are legitimate owners, and I think there's more of a sense of ownership, and so they feel that obligation a little more.
Yeah. And my experience is 80 to 90% of my true buyers that get all the rights of ownership, that get to write their interest off, that get, that they own that property, they're going to stay. Just like anybody that bought with a Bank of America loan.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Hey guys, if you're finding value or just want to follow along on our journey, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. That would help us tremendously. You can also follow us on Instagram @TheBrokeMillionaires and be sure to share with your friends. Now let's get back to the show. Kind of switching gears a little bit, one of the big things we talk about on our show is sacrifices and the current sacrifices that we're making in our kind of wealth building journey. What sacrifices have each of you made, whether it was before you met and were together or now that you're married? What sacrifices have come along the way?
I'd have to go back on sacrifices. I'm going to let Jodi tell her story first, but man, we don't make any sacrifices. We're reaping the rewards of those sacrifices now.
Love that. Yeah.
Yes.
I honestly, as sad as it is, I think the biggest sacrifice I've had to make is a lot of friends and family have a problem with us being successful or me being successful. And I have probably several friends that I've lost and family members that don't speak to me that much.
Really?
Because I don't know what they think, but
yeah.
I think I've changed or something. And so, that's honestly the biggest one. There wasn't a lot of financial sacrifice for me because I didn't take a lot of big risks. So that wasn't really a problem. But it was really relationships, honestly.
Wow.
which is
Okay.
too bad, but
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, everybody has a different sacrifice and what that looks like. It could be time, it could be money, it could be friendships, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's really unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that.
well, sometimes it's for the best, honestly. I mean, there's the negativity that was around, with some of those friends I had and stuff wasn't good for me anyway. So it kind of worked out.
You know, I read something a long time ago. It's so true. Everybody can't go with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're gonna go through different stations in your life. If you're lucky, you're going to progress. You're gonna move to a higher level, of some degree, whether it's financially, spiritually, emotionally, whatever it is. And everybody that's with you today won't be with you 5 years from now. They're gonna stay where they are or move back down the ladder, whatever the
Or
case
they're
may
like
be.
the crabs in the bucket and they try to pull you back down with them.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jody was talking about that earlier, and see, that's something I didn't have to deal with in the beginning. My job had transferred me states away from any family
Mm.
that me or my first wife had. So we didn't have people there going, "What are you
Yeah.
doing? Oh man, that's
Yeah.
nuts." And when we went home, we didn't tell anybody. And since we lived so far away, we didn't have to because I didn't want to go through that. Oh man, that's risky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't need those naysayers in my life.
And that's really why I think I went so slowly. I progressed slowly because of that, because of the people who are saying, you better be careful.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as sacrifices that I made in the beginning, and remember, I had a full-time job. I had more than a full-time job. So I didn't get much sleep the first year. I'd get home from work and I'd get on the internet. And we didn't have social media then. We had those chat rooms.
Yeah.
You'd go in there, ask a question, hope somebody that knew something would answer your question. And I spent hours and hours doing that. I was working. I mean, if I wasn't working, I was sleeping.
Mhm.
And we made some sacrifices. We sold our house. We moved into an apartment that had, much lower rent, no maintenance. We gave up cable TV. We stopped spending every dime that we made on the promise that the future would be better. And of course it was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was home after the next year. I was home all the time. We did everything together. So we made some financial choices in the beginning, and they're not easy. Most
Yeah.
people won't do it.
That's all right.
I work hard. I deserve, to go out and blow $200 on dinner tonight, or go to, or buy a new car every year, or whatever their thing is that they want
Right.
to do. But and I could I've made it anyway, probably, but cutting those things really sped up my process, and that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, we hear that a lot. Like, people don't want to make the sacrifices now to live a better life later. It's
Mhm.
hard for people to do that. They just they put it off. Well, I'll make the sacrifice later. I'll get there. I've got time, and then they just never get there. And so, Lauren used to do reverse mortgages, and she would talk to people that when 70s, 80s, and never made that sacrifice, and are now just trying to get by. And it's
Oh, the stories were awful. They
Yeah.
were
It's
so
really sad. Yeah.
heartbreaking. I think that was really a pivotal moment, because he had this kind of big idea of this plan and the sacrifices we were making. And I think it made a lot more sense to him than I was harder to get on board 100%. And then that job, I think if nothing, that's what I took away from it, is just the importance of building wealth and, starting it early and making these sacrifices while we're young. And I mean, we get told all the time, people are like, we don't know how you do it. You're crazy for what you're doing, especially with 4 small kids and living through these renovations. And I mean, we moved last time 4 times last year.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
It-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So California is a little different. Everything out here is an equity play. So if you want to make money in real estate, it's not going to be renting. It's not going to be flipping because, like I said earlier, you guys probably make more actual cash on your $200,000, $150,000 purchase than people are making out here on their $1.5 million purchase. So it just doesn't make sense to flip. Yeah, you can have bigger gains, but the amount of money and risk you're taking it does not make a lot of sense. And with rental properties, we've gotten the cap rates out here are just terrible. With especially the interest rates right now, you're in negative cash flow if you're just to go out and try to buy a rental property. We've actually transitioned into doing midterm rentals. So we do furnished rentals in our local neighborhoods where we live. So we have 3 properties real close to where we live. So we're able to do that and actually cash flow these pretty nicely. But it's a lot more work to get it to do that. But really, California is equity plays. So we buy these properties, we put money into it, and then the equity gain is really where we've built a lot of our wealth, and then we'll pull that back out and then roll that into other deals. And so that's kind of our play out here. But people always say, why are you guys doing this to yourself on this and that? And how are you paying 3 mortgages? And they don't see the big picture of what we're building and what we're trying to accomplish and get to. I mean, a few years from now, we'll hopefully be in a position where, so this is a side gig for us. The real estate is a side hustle. It really is. I have a printing business, and so I still manage the printing business full time. And it's taken a hit the last couple of years with the economy pullback. It really affected the business really a lot. And so that's why we're in the position now, because we still have all these projects going on, and our income has really just disappeared. And so now we're just shuffling everything, trying to stay afloat until things pull back around. But in the next few years, we should have enough real estate to be able to sell the business and walk away and just start living off of these investments. And then we really want to get more into this other stuff that you're talking about, like the 12 home program. I think that's such a great concept. We're excited to kind of look a little more into that.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys ever think of moving?
That's what I was.
Yeah, I know, right?
Once you're tied there, you can move somewhere. I mean, and I say that because we just got here 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's very true.
We just got here 2 years ago, and I'll tell you guys, we don't work very hard.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we just don't. We vacation a lot. And our first year here, and I don't think Jodi minds if I share that, we did about $800,000 our first year here. And I promise you, I don't know exactly in California where you guys live, but I guarantee you 800,000 goes a lot further here.
You need 800,000 just to be able to live in a 3-bedroom house here and pay for it's crazy what it's like cost of living here. It's just insane. Yeah. I mean, these houses that we have, and just these are not like high-end luxury neighborhoods down at the beach. We're in Costa Mesa, which is middle of Orange County, and so we're one city in from the beach. So Newport Beach, I'm sure you've heard of Newport Beach. We're one city in from that. So we're like, Costa Mesa is a couple miles from the beach. So it's kind of like the next closest place you can be to the beach. But prices here have just skyrocketed over the last 10 years. And these properties
what's a mortgage payment on one of those? So these properties that we have, we bought them with a lot of deferred maintenance, and so we put a lot of money into them, get them where they are now. But these properties that we have are between 1.5 and 2 million a piece. So for a family that's just trying to buy a house in one of these neighborhoods, if they were to buy one of our houses, you're looking at close to $2 million, and with current interest rates, your payment's going to be $15,000 plus. So it's insane. 15,000?
Yes, 15,000 just to buy
our house, and it's modest and whatever, but it's 1,500.
Right, right. So it's a big difference. It's a big difference.
It was a sub 2, by the way.
Was it? That's great.
Oh, I love that.
So definitely a different world, and we've talked about moving, and it's just we're pretty tight here for now. I think we're probably going to be here until the kids finish school. So we'll probably be here until they go off to college, and then I think we'll move at that point. But we got another 18 years before we get to that point.
We've got a ways to go.
Well, there's always buying remote. I mean, you can do it from there.
Yeah, so we actually buy, so I mentioned in Texas, there's a duplex we did sub 2. There's actually an apartment building we own outside of Dallas, and that was we purchased that on a wrap. So we have a solo 401k that we do a lot of investing. All the out-of-state investing is done with a solo 401k. So the 401k account actually owns these properties, and I manage them and kind of orchestrate them. But we have a portfolio in South Carolina as well. So I've been buying in South Carolina for about 8 years now. So, we'll buy a property, and with the solo 401k, you can't flip in that. It's got to be passive income, or else you start getting hit with taxes. So we do buy them as rentals, and we'll rent them for a few years, and then turn around and flip them after that. Yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah.
So tell us some deals you guys have done. Like, I know you kind of talked about a few of them, but is there anything that sticks out that was just a really wild, crazy deal, or or maybe something where it didn't work out? Like we talked about things that don't work out too, because we don't want everybody to think that everything's just gonna go the way is planned and always be up and up. So anything that you can think of that you want to share that's just kind of memorable one way or the other?
Oh, there are so many that are memorable. But Jody and I don't know if it's luck or it's planning or being analytical, which believe it or not, I think we both are. Uh, neither of us have ever lost money on a deal. Now, that's not to say we haven't bought houses that we wish we hadn't bought.
Mm.
I
Uh,
have a bad one.
yeah,
I
Let's
still
hear
made
it.
a little bit of money,
yeah.
but
Go ahead and tell your.
I think it was my third deal I ever did, and it was a short sale. It's the one that made me decide to stop doing short sales.
Ah.
I bought a house and it had 3 mortgages and 2 tax liens
Oh.
that I had to take care of to get this, to clear. And it took me 8 months to do it, and I made $3,500.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
It was like a lot of work. And I had to help the homeowner move his stuff out. And, I was there helping him all the time. His dog loved me and knew me and everything.
oh,
I mean, I was there a lot helping him. So it was a lot of work for $3,500.
Yeah.
That was my worst one. But I didn't lose money. But
you didn't lose money. Yeah.
Yep.
I probably did
And,
in a sense. I probably spent a lot
Time.
of gas money or something.
you worked for like $1 an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
What always stands out to me when we think about bad deals, and this is a really good example. This is a common thing. I don't know if you guys hang out on Facebook, but I'm in all kind of groups. I like to see what's going on, and you see these guys now, and that's what's happened with the fast food model of creative finance. They teach you a bunch of garbage, but I'm gonna tell you something. Just because somebody will give you a deed doesn't mean you want it.
Mhm.
Okay, the same common sense rules of what makes a deal apply. Jody and I turn down deals all the time because they don't make financial sense. And but I bought a house back when I didn't know. Uh, I got it for like 50 cents on the dollar. It's like, how can you lose money? Well, if it's in the worst location in town where nobody wants to live, and this one was across the street from the nastiest trailer park. And I mean, trailer parks already have a bad, name, but this was the lowest of the low. And that house was one problem after another. Anytime it was between, I bought into the lease option people, man. They'll take care of the house and stay. Well, they don't, especially when it's in a crappy part of town. And these people, they would move in and move out. And if you didn't stand there with a gun between tenants, the air conditioner would be gone,
Ugh.
Oh,
the wiring would be gone. I mean, it was just a horrible experience. And of course, I finally sold it to a wholesale guy. But man, that was bad. I was glad to get rid of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So if people are interested in getting, like learning more about sub 2 or kind of implementing the strategies, what's a good way to do that? And I know you've just had your book released, so that's a good time to talk about that and what the book goes over. And I know you're really excited. Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
There it
I
is.
love
Hot off the press.
I am. It's my beautiful wife designed the cover.
I love it.
So
and the
good.
back. So
Nice.
she did a great job.
Yes.
I wrote the inside. But I've been talking about doing
Collaboration.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We worked together for months. I've been planning this for 6 years. In fact, I had one of my memories pop up in Facebook the other day when I was looking for a publisher asking questions 6 years ago. But we've been talking about doing this.
But you
And
gotta-
just like I told
You got to remember, though, 5 years ago, some girl came into your coaching group and
Ah,
I know
distracted
it,
you from
man.
your writing.
I know it. I didn't have time for anything for at least the first couple of years until she finally said, "Listen, you need to get back to
I
work."
did.
So anyway, when my life changed and I said, I'm going to change what I do, I'm really going to simplify things. I started buying houses subject to selling them with seller financing, and things got really simple at that point. This book covers a lot of things. One, it lays out the 12-house blueprint, which is buying subject to, selling with seller financing, creating money on the front end, cash flow every month. And it basically lays out for you how to create a $600,000 plus a year income within 36 months, which in most places, except where you guys live, that's an adequate income.
Yeah.
All right. The second thing, the principle that I think it teaches, which is really important for people to learn today, is you don't have to follow the Lambo guy in front of the mansion that tells you need to be flipping 50 houses a month. You can have a life and have a very successful business buying just a handful of deals a year. Almost all of the people that I meet, a couple of deals a year would change their life. 12 a year will completely change your life in just a couple of years if you just do them right. And those houses don't have to have tons of equity. There are certain criteria, and I'm not going to read the book today, but some things you need to follow. It's all in the book, though. And that's really what it covers. What I started doing 10 years ago that really made life simple and made it just a lot less stressful.
It's great. And then where can people buy the book?
They can go to 12houseblueprintbook.com. That's the number 12, 12, houseblueprintbook.com and get it. We're actually in the middle of our pre-launch right now. There's like 15 bonuses that you get that are, worth thousands of dollars that you get for buying a $20 book. The official launch will be on the 11th of March. And after that, about a third of the bonuses go away, but you still get about, I think it's 9 or 10 bonuses.
Or this will be releasing on the 12th, so it'll be releasing the day after, but you can still get bonuses. So so jump on there. We'll put this in the show notes as well.
You get a ton of bonuses.
There's still a lot of bonuses.
Perfect. Okay.
If they go to the website, they'll see a list of all the bonuses.
And we'll put the website in the show notes so that way people can find it exactly.
And then they'll be included forever. So
perfect. So usually one of our last questions, we usually ask what people's end game is with their wealth building, like what they want to accomplish in life and where they see themselves going. I feel like you guys are already there. You're like, you're kind of coasting, and you say you don't work a whole lot. You've kind of figured this business out, and you're really living your best life. So any advice to the people that are maybe like us that are still in it, trying to get to where you guys are? I mean, you guys are kind of role models for what we're trying to get to when our kids are out of the house.
I just think the goal is just to make sure that we have enough to get all the way to the end if we can't keep working.
Right.
And that's about it. Right?
We and this isn't a popular thing to talk about, not living such an excessive consumer lifestyle. We travel a lot. We have a lot of fun. We go where we want to do. In fact, we joke about it all the time that being financially free means that you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want, without having to ask money's permission. And I've been lucky enough to live that life for the last several years. And we certainly do that today. It's not without some effort, but we don't, I don't know, what's the best way to put it? A Lambo's not important to me.
Right.
Like, for example, we fly first class in an airplane because we like to, but most other things we don't splurge on. We drive one car, and it's a 9-year-old Honda.
Right.
I mean, it's nothing flashy.
But it's
a SUV.
But it's in good shape, and it looks good. It gets us where we're going.
We go almost everywhere together anyway, so we don't have 2 cars. I mean, this is a modest sized house, 1,700 square feet. We don't have, it's not a mansion.
Yeah, that's a big thing, is just living within your means. Yeah, no, that's great. That's really good.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we don't spend every dime that we make. We don't try to impress people that we don't like. You know what I mean? That's popular.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's absolutely like everyone's to see to be seen, and it's like, who are you trying to impress? It's people you don't even know. Like, why do you care so much? So.
we spend our money on the things we enjoy, and we get to help some people along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to help people that we do like. And as I'm able to help my kids out sometimes and things like that, where
Yeah. That's good.
without struggling ourselves. So that's great.
All right. Couple questions that we ask in closing, just kind of closing recommendations. We usually like to ask our guests if there's a good book or podcast that's helped them in their wealth building journey. I'm going to plug your book right now because I know that's going to be a wealth of information. But is there any other books that you've read or anything that kind of jump started your career or was really a game changer for you?
Well, I think I actually learn a lot listening to my podcast. I'm amazed.
Yeah, he listens to himself all the time.
No, man, I'm just messing with you.
However, when our radio ad comes on, he does turn it up to listen to himself. So
I do. When we're in the car
like
and
his
my
own
radio
voice.
ad comes on, I do like to listen to myself on the radio.
That's funny.
But we were talking about this earlier. What about you, Jodi? Do you have a favorite book that really helped you out?
Well, it's not even a real estate book, but I always forget the name of it. The Slight Edge.
Oh, I haven't read that.
I think it's Jeff Olson. I like that book a lot. It's about how just a little tiny increment in the right direction can turn into such a big
I think I know what you're talking about
or whatever.
Yes.
And just a half a degree every day adds up. It's like it's the analogy about how if you double a penny every day and stuff like that.
And just exponentially, yeah. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that this is a good incentive to keep going to the that degree every day.
Yeah.
Mm. I hate to even answer that question because my answer is such a cliche. But I mean, I can vividly remember reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and the chair I was sitting in and actually closing the book and sitting it down on the table because my mind was just blown by the realization that the things most people think are assets are liabilities.
Absolutely.
And you talk about twisting your head around. Between that book and The Millionaire Next Door.
That's a good one.
They were just really eye-opening.
Those were two of the first books that I read when I started learning about, wealth building and real estate. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was what kind of got me going in the right direction. And I read the Millionaire Next Door I think I read that same year and just kind of realized, give me a different perspective on money. So yeah, those are both great books.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say Rich Dad Poor Dad because everybody says,
I know our guests say that.
But
it's so true. It's
true. It's
so foundational.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned the radio. I want to go back. I kind of forgot to ask you this earlier, but when you are marketing, what is your main, are you just doing radio now? Are you guys still doing, postcards or letters or what's your main marketing on your leads?
Our main marketing right now, where we buy pretty much all of our houses, it's radio, advertising, and door knocking foreclosures.
Okay. And so radio, it's like just radio station. I mean, I guess I don't really listen to the radio station that much anymore. It's always like podcasts or something like that, or Spotify or what. Are you advertising those as well, or is it just a traditional radio station?
It's a very specific recipe for the station you need to be on, the times of day that you need to play, the type of ad that you run. It's not a typical ad. It doesn't have any background music. It's just me talking. I introduce myself. In fact, and if you guys want to go to our business website, planbprops.com, you can listen to Jodi put together a video to go with our radio ad. We run 3 versions now, so we have 3 different versions of it. One focuses on foreclosures, but the one you'll hear at planbprops.com is actually the one that we've been running since the beginning.
Okay.
Those things, they're just so effective. They really grab people's attention. And if you negotiate a good rate, I'll tell you, we started running radio ads when we got here and got started. And within a couple of days, we had our first deal under contract. Oh, wow. We made $71,000. We pay $1,500 a month to be on 3 stations.
Oh, that's way less than I thought it would have been. That's really reasonable.
Right.
Huh. Okay.
Now, that's not what they quote you when you call.
Right.
They'll quote you, depending on the station, anywhere from $30 to $60 or more per spot. But we actually pay I think that we have a blended rate of about $7 a spot between the three
They're
stations.
just doing like a monthly. Okay. All right. That's good to know. Okay, cool. I forgot to ask that earlier, so I wanted to just put that in there. All right. So the last thing is we always ask our guests, and I'll ask each of you this. What's a word or phrase that summarizes your wealth building journey?
We discussed this earlier when we got your questions, and I think we agree on the word. It's a word, actually. Simplicity.
Oh, okay.
Don't try to make things super complicated.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. And
because they don't have
to.
to.
No, with what you do, it does seem very simple, and you know, you've got it to where, you know, your life is not complicated. You're enjoying life, and I like that simplicity. That's a good. I haven't heard that one before, but that's good.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Frank Kern. I don't know if you know who he is.
I have not heard of that.
But he's like, I think he lives out in California.
Okay.
He's a marketing guy. Right. And he says this, and this is the approach that I try to use in my teaching as well. He says, if you want to impress people, make it sound complicated. If you want to help them, keep it simple.
I have heard that phrase. I have not heard the name, but I have heard that phrase. So it's probably his. I guess I have heard of him.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. Okay. Okay.
We have a student, or well, he's an ex-student. He moved on to something where he could learn how to scale things. And he went on to build, I can't remember. Do you remember all the details of what he had in place? He had so many.
He's got about 15 employees.
Yeah.
And what they do, he did, I think he said 50 deals last year.
Oh, wow.
And made about a third of what we made the same year.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
And we only did 11 deals.
He has to do 2.5 deals a month to cover his overhead.
Jeez.
And we made more than he did. So simple is better for us.
Right. And he left our group because we couldn't teach him how to scale. So why do you want to?
Yeah.
Why do you want an outside office? Why do you want 15 employees? Why do you want an acquisitions manager, disposition manager, all these things?
Because it sounds good.
It sounds sexy.
I want to put money in the
bank. Yeah. No, you're right. People get so caught up in that, and you just created a job for yourself. But I think with real estate investing, you should be creating financial freedom and just time. But so many people get caught up in that. Got to scale, got to get big, and they end up just creating a job.
I mean, he had good intentions. I know he did, but you know, I feel pretty certain that someday he'll go, I should have not done this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, now he's got all of this responsibility, at least self-imposed responsibility. He says, I have to keep doing this because I have these employees I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
No, you don't. I mean, you know, if you want to take your lifestyle back to, I mean, you can make a lot more money with a lot less effort. You know, you're gonna kill yourself just because you have 15 people and you feel like you're responsible for them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. You only get so long here, and then you're going to be gone, and it's over. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because like the people that flip here, you know, we make more money just on our equity gains on these California properties than the people that are flipping, you know, big properties out here because they're doing a lot of work for not a lot of profit. And it's just you're creating a job for yourself. Right. All right, guys, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. Last question, William, what's a good way for people to reach out if they're interested in, you know, we got the book, we'll put the website on there, but if somebody wants to reach out about your coaching programs, what's a good way to reach out and get a hold of you?
You can get Jodi at jodi@williamtingle.com. And you can get me at william@williamtingle.com.
All right. And we'll put your teaching website on there as well.
Sorry, I went MIA there at the end of this interview. Mom duty called, and one of our kids had a daddy daycare bathroom scene moment. If you don't know what I'm referring to, just do a quick Google search on that. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, you know, I think with this book coming out, it's a great book and so the one thing about William, we've known him for several years now, and he is the most generous and most giving
Very much
like
so.
coaching person out there. Like what he talks about in the sub 2 world, like he gives away so much information for free. You can just go to his YouTube, you can listen to his podcast. Everything that's going to be in the book is already probably talked about between the YouTube and podcasts. So if you're interested in learning more about sub 2 and, building financial freedom through, the whole 12 house blueprint is just the idea that you don't have to scale up real big. You can just do one house, one deal a month and become very, very financially free from the income that generates. It takes a few years to build up doing this program because you do have to fill the pipeline. And then as the idea is after a few years, these houses that people are buying from you on seller finance end up refinancing and you cash out when they refinance. So that's why it takes about 3 years to get going, because after 3 years, the refinances start happening and then you start cashing out constantly on those. So it's a really good program. I think this is something that we really should, obviously we have to do this out of state. It's not really something you can do in California, but I'd really like to incorporate this. We've done some of these deals, but really do this consistently and start marketing and try to do 12 houses a year and build that pipeline. So this is something that we're going to be working on. This is something that anybody can do, especially if you are in, Midwest or in the South or some of these areas where you can buy properties that are not $1 million a piece and it's a little easier to, there's more of these type of deals. So it's not impossible if you're out of state, but it definitely makes it easier when you are on the ground there, because you can go see the properties yourself and it's just, you can make deals happen a little easier, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So, not to discourage people out of state, because we're looking at doing the same thing, but you can make a very good income doing this. So I think this is definitely a program worth getting into. And, William does offer the coaching and everything. And he says a lot of his students, it's just people that need to be held accountable or kick in the pants. But you can buy the book, listen to the podcast, get all the information, get the whole idea and the concept. And that's really all you need. You just need that drive and motivation and the willingness to take action and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this episode going live, William's book is out now and available for purchase at 12houseblueprint.com. Does have some extra perks on it, or if you want just the book, you can also find it on Amazon. We're also going to be giving away some copies of the book this week. So the first 10 people to leave a review on the podcast will receive a copy. Just make sure to take a screenshot and send us a DM on Instagram where we can send the book to.
All right. I think that's it for me.
Yeah.
Good.
That's it.
All right, guys, get out there and make it happen.
Thanks for listening. This has been a production of Rebuilding the Dream Studios.